Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. In today's video, we are going to be talking about shotguns for beginners. And before we get this video started, I wanted to give a quick shout out to this video's sponsor, which is Seal One. I have some exciting news about the Seal One sponsorship that I know you guys are very much going to be excited to hear, and that is that they are now offering a 25% discount code to the Seal One website where you can get all of their cleaning products. If you just type in FF-25 at checkout, that's FF-25 at checkout, it will save you 25% off of your entire order. Their stuff's already very affordable. That makes it even more affordable. This is a partnership that I'm super excited about because I use Seal One product. I've used them for a number of years now and I really do enjoy it. They make a wide variety of non-toxic cleaning products including paste and liquid, and they even have sub-zero temperature stuff for the very cold months that we are in now here in Pennsylvania. Click the link down in the description below. I seriously do appreciate it. This has been a video topic that I've had on my mind for quite a while, which is shotguns for beginners. If you guys don't know, I do work full-time as a store manager at a gun shop, but I've been in the gun industry now for getting close to 10 years. I've been in it for a long time, and throughout my time working the gun counter, I have heard a lot when it comes to shotguns. Now, I want to get right out in the open at first. I love shotguns. I have many shotguns set up for a defensive use around the home. I even EDC a Remington 1187 SBS that I love. I just posted a picture yesterday of an entire EDC shotgun placard that I actually do carry with me every day to the gun shop that I work at, and I just like a shotgun in certain circumstances. I think there are many pros to shotguns and there's many cons. We've talked about that before in a pros and cons shotgun video here on the channel. But the one thing that I have not really addressed is shotguns for beginners. Somebody that does not own a firearm, does not really have any training in firearms, and they're looking to get their first gun. Probably one of the number one things that we hear at the gun counter for a newbie with their significant other coming in or somebody that knows what they're talking about coming in with them is almost certainly going to recommend a pump shotgun for a beginner. And I disagree with every part of that, and that's what we're going to get into here in this video. So please let me know down in the comment section if you disagree with what I'm saying or you agree with what I'm saying. One of the first things that we hear when it comes to a shotgun for a beginner is, hey, I need my person here to get a shotgun because they don't know how to use anything, they're not going to get training, and a shotgun's easy to use, especially a pump shotgun. As much as I love shotguns, compared to rifles, compared to handguns, they are one of the most difficult guns to learn how to shoot in a defensive way. I'm not talking about a stress-free environment, understanding how to just rack the pump back and rack it forward. See, a shotgun, when you start actually running it under stress, even minimal stress at the range, it falls apart. Now, not the shotgun, but the person. The person falls apart because it becomes much more difficult to understand how to use. There's a lot of movements going on to just get the shotgun to go bang. And that's what a beginner is really going to have a hard time with. You can do things like short stroking the shotgun under stress if it's a pump, which means not bringing the pump fully back and fully forward. That happens all the time, especially with somebody with a shorter length of pull, and you're going to cause a malfunction in that shotgun. You also have to deal with the recoil of defensive loads, whether that be a heavy birdshot or buckshot, and under stress, getting follow-up shots, if you're especially a smaller person, on target once again after that recoil nails you back a little bit, can be very difficult. And although you are very unlikely to reload a shotgun in a home defense situation, it absolutely could happen. We're seeing more and more these days that home invasions are happening with multiple people, and they're also happening with people that are ready to get into a gunfight. What does that mean? That means that your 5-round capacity, typically, shotgun, or 7 or 8 round capacity shotgun is looking not the best when it comes to having to reload that, and you absolutely have to train to reload a shotgun under stress, and there is no easy way to do that. I've been shooting shotguns for a majority of my life. I am using the shotgun under stress, reloading the shotgun under stress. No matter how many times I do it, it is still difficult. I am still fumbling with shotgun shells. I'm still dropping shotgun shells, and you need to have the training in order to get past that. So that's why the shotgun is one of the most difficult guns to learn how to shoot effectively. On the opposite side of that coin, once you learn how to shoot a shotgun effectively, it is devastating in close ranges. That's one thing that can't be disputed. There's a lot of people on the internet nowadays that are saying, hey, a shotgun holds no purpose other than breaching doors. Well, I got news for you guys. 7 or 8 rounds of double-aught buckshot in minus 20 yards, if you get a center mass hit, it is devastating. It is absolutely devastating. And this is one of the only firearms out there, really, that if you're hit one time center mass with a good defensive load, it may very well stop you from doing what you are doing, and that is a huge benefit. It provides a ridiculous amount of energy in a short package, but that comes along with some downsides. Another thing that I see, and a lot of this comes back to the you don't need training, but a lot of the other stuff that we hear is, hey, you don't have to load the shotgun. That's a great one. You just have to have an unloaded shotgun, and just you standing there with that big shotgun barrel is going to be enough as a beginner to get them to just leave you alone. Don't worry about training. Don't worry about loading it. Just have it pointed in their direction, and they're going to run. We've talked about this a lot, but somebody in your house that knows you're in there is ready for a confrontation, whether that's ready for a fight or at least ready to attack you in some way. They're already past that point. If you just being there was enough to get them to go, then they're probably not ready for a full-on home invasion anyways, whether you have a gun in your hand or you don't. Now, of course, the hope is that they were to see a gun and just leave, but a lot of the time that's not the case. The same goes for racking the action. This is not a universal sound that for a beginner that you could just rack it. You can load it with rock salt, and you can just load a less than lethal, and you racking that pump is going to be enough to scare them away. If any instructor is telling you that, if anybody that is apparently knowledgeable is telling you that, I got news for you. They have no idea what they're talking about. There are many documented cases out there where that pump does nothing but let the attacker know where you are, and that's about it. The only time there should be a noise going off is after that trigger is pulled, if you absolutely have to use that gun to protect your life. So unloading it, racking the pump, really not a great option at all. Ideally, for a beginner, a small firearm is generally the best case, meaning handgun, because it's easier to stow around the house. And this is one thing that could also apply to rifles as well. But we see a lot of beginners, usually family folks out there, that are getting a large shotgun for home defense, and again, the same goes for rifle, and they don't have anywhere to place it to make it readily accessible. They want to keep it away from the little ones, but now they got a large, cumbersome shotgun kind of just leaning up somewhere, and they don't know where to keep it. Now they're getting a safe. Now it's a lot harder to get to, a lot harder to use. So that can also be an issue as a beginner and as a first firearm, and that's where maybe a smaller option like a handgun is a lot easier to stow away in the house somewhere and keep it accessible, but also not accessible to the people that you want to keep their hands off, like small ones in the home. So that is also something to consider when it comes to a shotgun for beginners. We got to address the pistol grip debacle, and this is where the question came up with the TAC-14 hardwood. I can't tell you how many times somebody will say, hey, a beginner, all you got to do is give them that sawed-off pistol grip shotgun, or in other words, like a firearm option, like a TAC-14, and just point that sucker from the hip down the hallway and don't aim and just fire away and the whole hallway will be gone. Again, not the case. If you go to the range one time and you see the spread of shot, even bird shot at a close distance, is still not much. And let me tell you, I tried as an experienced shotgun shooter to shoot that gun from the hip to really disprove what people were saying. And it's a lot harder to get hits with than you might think. It is not easy to get hits from the hip. And even at 10 yards, it's easy to miss. And on top of that, you are feeling the brute force of that recoil in your hand, even with the bird's head grip, let alone a pistol grip only shotgun that is nailing your wrist with all the force of the power that is coming out of that recoil. So, not the case. You have to aim, you have to practice, you have to actually see where that shot is going to go to be accountable. If all of this is still not getting through, if all of this is still not resonating with like, okay, maybe a shotgun is not the best option for a beginner, and you're still like, nope, I want to get a shotgun, probably the best option is a reliable semi-automatic shotgun. This is going to soak up a lot of the recoil, and it is also generally going to be easier to use because you have just an action that's moving on its own. You don't have to work a pump. But the problem here is one thing, in 2022, it's very hard to find a non-Turkish reliable semi-automatic shotgun, and we just don't have a lot due to availability problems. And on top of that, it is still something you got to train with. Now, the 1187 personally is one of my favorites. The older 1187s, they're incredibly reliable shotguns, and they do run well. A Mossberg 930 is another option, and getting higher up into the kind of top tier area, a 1301 Beretta is also phenomenal. However, out of the three, the 1301 Beretta is actually one that I felt the most recoil in, surprisingly. The 1187 I felt the least amount of recoil. It just has a very good action for soaking up the recoil that is going on. Another thing to consider when it comes to a beginner and a shotgun is accessories. Now, obviously, if you're a beginner, you may not be looking for the most high-speed stuff out there. But when it comes to mounting things that I view as an absolute must for a home defense gun, like a flashlight or a sling, these can be very difficult to mount, surprisingly, on a shotgun. Now, Streamlight makes a great option for a flashlight, which is a TL Racker. I've reviewed that before on the channel. But it is nowhere near as easy to mount things on a shotgun as it is a rifle or a handgun. Just a lot simpler to get that rolling as a beginner than it is a shotgun. And finally, for a beginner, you should also be thinking about concealed carry. If it is something that is possible in the state that you're in, concealed carry is something I would highly recommend, even if it comes down to keeping that firearm in your car or bringing it with you back into the home after and having it for home defense as well. Having something like a handgun for a first firearm is a lot easier to accomplish that task with than a long gun, and that's including a shotgun. Now, one of the only times I would potentially recommend a shotgun for a beginner or for a first gun is in a state that is highly restrictive against firearms. In the state that I'm from, New York, it is not easy to get a viable self-defense long gun in the way of rifles. There is not much out there. You might have some lever gun options, you might have a Mini 14, but if you're looking to get an untouched, unmodified rifle, that is difficult. Handguns, again, are incredibly difficult to get in the state of New York. You have to go through quite the process in order to obtain a handgun. It's still possible, but it's a lot more of a simple process to obtain a long gun than it is a handgun. And that is why, for one of my first firearms, I gravitated towards the shotgun. You are in a state that already has capacity restrictions to 10 rounds, so again, it's not like you're gaining a ton of capacity by going with a rifle, especially if you're able to find a shotgun with an 8-round capacity. You're already at about the same as other rifles with the max capacity in the state, and it's also going to be unmodified for the most part in the state of New York. And that is really something to think about. So that's about the only time that I might kind of change my mindset on that, is if you're in a very restrictive, unfree state a shotgun may actually be a better choice. And that is going to wrap up this video about shotguns for beginners. If you guys have any other questions about this topic or anything else on the channel, please throw them down below in the comment section, and you guys know I absolutely will get back to you. While you're down there, head up to that description to check out the links to support the channel, and as always, stay tuned for more great videos coming soon.